first 30 minutes, he forgot to go live.
Hello, everybody. Just a quick little intro this time because we have a little computer issues here. We got everything up and running. Sorry for today, everybody, but that's the joy. Oh, I have this up. Let's turn this sucker down. I have to learn to make sure I keep stuff. Okay, fine, be that way. Have a little bit of back talk there until this works here. My mouse isn't working. My mouse hates me. Everything hates me. I tell you, I'm a Luddite. It knows it. What can I do? Okay, there we go. Now there we go. Okay, well, welcome back, Wendy, to the show. Baron After Dark. If people haven't had last time, but I have her come back because she is a fantastic guest. She's not a content creator, but she is a lurker out there of in the chats, and of course puts her 2 cents worth out there. So, welcome back to the show, Nurse Wendy Webb, trauma warrior.
Well, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad you wanted me back on.
Oh yeah, definitely. Always you. I mean, how can nobody want to have the trauma warrior on? That's all I have to ask.
Well, you never know.
Well, it is a Baron After Dark, so we let things slide a lot more.
Yeah,
a little bit
that's why
more
I got my vodka and Coke here. So
woo, vodka and Coke. There we go. That's the way to do it, folks. I haven't had a vodka and Coke in a long time. I can't really drink vodka much anymore myself. I have to keep it to whiskey. So
vodka is one of the few things I can drink and not feel like crap in the morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my thing was I overdid it with vodka one time, and I really felt like crap in the morning, and I just couldn't. I can't really go back to it much anymore. So, and especially if it's straight. So
that was me with cinnamon schnapps. Haven't touched it in over 20 years.
That is dangerous. That is always dangerous. And of course, we have in the chat. We have, it looks like Glenn is in the chat, as well as the old man, and hopefully more will join us as the show goes along. People wondering, where the hell is the Baron? He's being a bum again. And I am a bum. I'm a professional bum. Don't you ever forget that.
I try to be. Actually, my aspiration is to be a couch potato.
Oh, yeah, for being one for about a year because of my back, I recommend it. It is a noble effort to be a couch potato.
Yeah. Well, now that I've retired from trauma surgery, I'm not doing trauma surgeries anymore. I'm just doing the administrative stuff. I got a lot more time on my hands.
And that is the big news. You did let Doomcock know. What was it, last Friday, or when did you let Doomcock and the gang know?
It was this coming Friday will be 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay, 2 weeks.
Yeah. I had to wait for a few things to happen because I had been given the position of nursing director over trauma services in August last year. I was already the director over trauma surgical services. And whenever I became the director over the ER as well as trauma surgical services, I was working a lot. And I have been working a lot. I have an ER nurse manager that works under me in the ER. I didn't have anybody under me in trauma surgical services because the manager has to have their master's degree. And so I had to wait. Kathy, who works the night trauma shifts that people have seen her type in on Doomcock's Friday Night Frolics. She got her master's at the beginning of the year. She finished her master's, and so I immediately gave her the title of nurse manager over trauma surgical services. And once I did that, I still had to wait for Olga to come back because Olga had a brain aneurysm surgery. And so I had to wait for her to return in the middle of March. And as soon as she did that, I pulled the trigger on it because they didn't need me anymore.
And Olga's back, so there you go.
Olga's back. Terrible Singing has returned.
Yay!
And I ran like hell.
Not because of the terrible singing, right?
Yeah, mainly because of the terrible singing. I love Olga. She's one of my best friends. She's actually my matron of honor. Jimmy and I are getting married Saturday. This is actually Jimmy and I's final day of work until April 18th.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a nice
Well,
little
we're
break
taking
there.
yeah. Well, we're taking tomorrow off because on Friday is the rehearsal dinner, which will actually
Hmm.
be on Friday Night Frolics. We're going to be listening
Oh.
to Friday Night Frolics for our entertainment on the rehearsal dinner.
Ha!
And my daughter-in-law, since she's pregnant, she'll be the one typing into the chat under my
Okay.
account. But no, Doomcock's thrilled. He's looking forward to it. He knows that it's the rehearsal dinner, and then Saturday. Then we're going to go to Port Mansfield, Texas. It's just a
Okay.
little fishing. It's a little fishing town down on the coast, near still within the Rio Grande Valley. It's called Port
Hmm.
Mansfield, Texas. The population as of 2019 was 87.
Wow. Huge
87.
metropolis. A huge
Huge
metropolis.
metropolis. They have three restaurants slash bars. The closest grocery store is a Walmart about 20 miles away.
Oh wow. They
So
don't even have
Jimmy
a
and I
little
actually,
mart.
they have one little convenience store, but it closes at like at 9 in the evening.
Hmm. Typical.
Otherwise, you have to go to the bait and tackle shop.
Well, I mean, if you want to do that sushi night, there you go. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
a little chum
But
sushi, and
we're gonna
you're good for the night.
yeah. And Jimmy and I, we actually have a house there. We bought the house there several years ago. It's a little 3-bedroom house, but we actually spend most of the time we rent it out to people that want to
Oh,
take fishing vacations.
oh,
But we're keeping it for ourselves for the week after the wedding. So
selfish.
and
Incredibly
yeah,
selfish.
yeah. Well, my aunt and
No.
uncle live there. My aunt and uncle are two of the 87 people,
Okay.
and he's a fishing guide. And my
Okay.
aunt actually fries the best freaking fish I've ever tasted. So we're putting them to work.
I definitely would. I mean, you can't let talent like that go, especially on
No
such a
way.
special day. Yes. Wow. So oh, now I know where I want to go for a vacation and have a little
It's an
fishing
awesome,
house.
yeah, fishing house and just so quiet. There's deer. Deer roam around in the front yards all over the place. There's deer everywhere. They're protected.
Hmm. Even though the town I live in here, we're on the outskirts of the metropolitan area, it's still pretty well built up. And when the long suffering first started coming out this way, I lived on a road, believe it or not, it was called Yellow Brick Road. I lived on. That was the actual name. And when we moved off of there, we did on our on a Facebook the last day that we moved out, we go goodbye Yellow Brick Road. We posted, how can you not do that? But I
Right.
wonder, I just wonder, you're going to go up north there. It's, rather, I know it's only about, a block or two long. It's very heavily wooded there, but be careful of deer. And she thought I was joking. And she was driving up, and then what? Lo and behold, there were 3 deer looking at her. And she comes back, goes, "I almost hit some deer." I said, "I told you, didn't I?" I didn't believe you. So we have that around. We have, of course, coyotes around our area too. So we have
Yeah.
to make sure at night the animals come in and such.
Yeah.
And there's always people panicking. Oh my God, I heard coyotes. Coyote, look, get your animals in. Well, okay, we'll let the animals in that we like. If they're mad, we tell them you're staying out tonight, and they go, okay, I'll behave.
I don't know what mine would do if we left them out all night. They'd probably keep the entire neighborhood awake.
Mm. Yeah, I think mine would. They're barkers, and then we are a couple blocks away from the fire department. Well, a little bit more than a couple blocks, but very close to the fire department. So, Honey, our 40-pound big lunkhead, loves to howl when the sirens go off. So we know whenever there's a fire or when they're going out there, and so we're out there and he likes to join along. So she'd wait there,
Yeah.
and Luke the Cook has joined us, and so has my long suffering joined, and Fata the is here. Hi, he made it in the stream before I am 50 minutes late. Yeah, we're a little bit late starting up here. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah,
But
technical
yeah, I mean,
issues.
yeah, technical glitches, but we got there. So that must have been a big step, though. You've been doing trauma surgery for how long? Several years, many years,
10 years.
10 years. That
Yeah.
is
Before that, from 2008 to 2012, I was working on the heart team.
Okay.
And then in 2012, they moved me because they needed a heart specialist for trauma on the weekend night shifts. Then I went in 2012 to that shift. And then in
Mm-hmm.
2016, they made me the nurse director over the trauma surgical services.
The
And
queen bee.
now, yeah, and now I'm just the administrative. I don't do the other stuff anymore.
It must
So.
be. It's got to be a combination between freeing and you feeling like a part of you got left behind at the same time.
Yeah, I feel very free in there. And what I really miss these last couple of weeks has been just the camaraderie with my team.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been a team for almost 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we were used to working together every single weekend for the last 8 years. And I do miss them. And we talk all the time. I mean, I spent
Mm-hmm.
last Friday, I was on the phone with them quite a bit, just checking in on everybody. But yeah, I miss them. As far as the trauma surgeries, I'm your age. I'm not young
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I got hit by that car while jogging last year, and my leg
Mm-hmm.
is not the same. Being on my
Yeah.
leg for so many hours, it just hurts so bad. And
Yeah.
then and trauma, doing especially trauma surgery, is very, it's almost like an endurance sprint, because you got to move so fast
Mm-hmm.
nonstop, and you have to just be able to keep that pace for hour after hour after hour after hour. I couldn't do it anymore with my leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I wish I could say I bounced back to 100%, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes,
So
especially with how bad your injury was, it's just kind of
yeah.
not
And
going to be.
I wouldn't send you the picture because I don't think you'd want to see it. But I sent that because Sandra Feliciano is a nurse, and
Mm-hmm.
I last year, whenever I was still in the hospital, they had given me the pictures of my leg in the operating room whenever they took me in there whenever that day I got hit that morning. And I sent one of the pictures to Sandra, and she said
Mm-hmm.
that it almost made her sick to see it. And she's a
Wow.
nurse,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it was really bad.
Ah.
The only thing holding my lower leg together was the artery, the vein, and the nerve. Everything else was destroyed.
Oof.
That's the only reason they didn't amputate it, because I still had
And
blood supply.
that's just it. And you were able to come back and actually, even though it's not back to what it was before, you're back up
Right.
and around. And
Yeah.
so that's just a miracle in it by itself, and shows how
Yeah.
tough this lady is. So guys, you better behave out there. She can put you into that ER and then take care of you afterwards.
But I was also a combat nurse for 20 years, so.
Will you be my bodyguard, please? No.
Sure. Whenever
Hey,
when you become a winter Texan, I'll be your bodyguard.
you got it. Okay, deal, deal.
All right.
I I got enough people wanting me to come down to Texas. I got 24, and
Yeah.
now I got you and a bunch of the others. It's like, and I got family down in Taylor, Texas. So I mean, yeah,
Oh,
just
there you
come
go.
out here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't know if I can handle living in burnt scrotum, Texas, when it's like 125 degrees.
It doesn't get that hot from Central Texas up. It doesn't really get as hot as it does down here. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm in the Rio Grande Valley, and the Rio Grande Valley is on the Rio Grande River.
Hmm.
So we're way down on the southern tip of Texas on the Rio Grande River, and that's why it's so hot here. I
Hmm.
mean, we're right on the border. So, but if you get up to San Antonio, it'll be up in the 90s, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, today it was 104 degrees this afternoon.
Yeah, you were telling me that. Wow, it's like here we are. We got cold, wet, rainy, 40. We're
Yeah.
having all that mixed garbage this morning. It doesn't look like it's
Yep.
going to go away
Yeah.
tomorrow. So yeah,
Need to
so
blow some of that our way.
you can have it as much as you want. You can, if I could box it up and put it into a couple FedEx semis, I'd send it right down to you in
Oh,
a
I
heartbeat.
wish, man, we could use
We're
it.
all getting tired of it.
We don't.
Well, we need to rain. We need to rain up here. We've had dry. It's been very dry up
Yeah.
here.
It
So that's
hadn't
what we
rained here. I think the last time it rained here was the end of February.
okay.
And we don't have any rain in the foreseeable future either. They're already talking drought and
Yeah,
water conservation, and it's only April, and they're already talking water conservation down here.
that is
So
not a good sign.
No.
I'm fearful that we might have a dry one again this year. We kind of had a dry last summer, a dry winter. I mean, it was brutally cold but dry, and now I don't know. I mean, hopefully we'll snap out of it, but we'll see. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Well, at least last April, May, and June of last year, we had some very good thunderstorms coming through every week.
Hmm.
But this year, no,
Hmm. How
no.
bad do those storms get down there along the Rio Grande when you have those?
Well, we have two different storms that happen in the summertime. We have the thunderstorms that come up from the Mexico mountains, which are actually heading towards us from the southwest.
Hmm.
And those are pretty normal thunderstorms. But we also have to worry about hurricanes.
Hmm.
I'm only an hour or so from the coast of Gulf of Mexico,
Hmm.
and so that's by driving. We That's something that we worry about every year. 2 years in 2020, I think it was August of 2020, Hurricane Hannah hit here, and
Hmm.
there was no electricity down here for 5 days.
Wow.
And
Thank goodness.
once the rain stopped, it just felt like you were in a sauna when you walked outside.
Yeah, it's just amazing how that just happens. Like it
Yeah,
gets here, you get that rain, and it's like boom, you walk outside and you drown to death walking out to the car because it's so humid.
yeah. Well, in 2020, we had in February, I'm sorry, it was February 2021, we had that hard freeze that came through Texas and knocked our electricity out for about 3 days.
Yep.
And then, and what, 6 months earlier or so, 5 or 6 months earlier, we had the hurricane that had came through. So we just got the two opposite ends of the deal in less than a
Hmm.
year, in just a few
Yeah.
months' time.
Yeah,
That
you
was
guys got
weird.
just hammered hard that year.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
24 was talking about how the wintertime and how it hit there, and even though he lives in Houston, I believe, and then of course he didn't have air conditioning for a while, so then that gave up on him.
right.
I told him to go down to the convenience store, get a bag of ice, and sit on it. I'll keep it
Yeah.
cool.
Well, Jimmy and I actually, after the hurricane, we got ourselves a generator,
Hmm.
but you can only run so much on a generator.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so we had to decide during that winter storm, do we want to have a refrigerator with good food in it or do we want heat? And we
Hmm.
decided on the refrigerator and using the fireplace.
There we go.
So,
And, that's the one thing. If of course, you remember Y2K and how everybody was going
yeah,
freaking nuts about that and generated.
yeah,
The one regret I had was, January 2nd, people were going, well, that was a whatever, and then they were selling all their generators they bought for like dirt cheap. It's like I should have bought
right.
one back then. I regret
Yeah,
it because you never know when you need it. You really don't.
that's right. Yeah.
One good storm.
Yeah, I was in the army back at Y2K and we were all on alert.
Hmm.
We didn't know what was going to happen, and they had us all on alert. And then it was like, well, that was stupid. I could have been visiting my family.
Yep.
Yeah,
My excitement for that was is I wasn't. I guess I was at the Y2K. I was kind of in the attitude that going, if it happens, it happens. There's nothing I can do. So I was laying in bed with the former Mrs. Tag and listening to Art Bell that night. So of course they start with the East Coast. Okay, on the East Coast, for people on the East Coast, please call in. Are you having problems? Are you having problems? Okay, we're not experiencing any problems on the East Coast so far. Anybody have a problem? Please, call our wild card line. Call our wild card line. And it's like comes to midnight, and it's like, okay, it's Central Standard Time. People in the Central Standard Time about that time. I go, okay, we're alive. Turned off the radio, went
yeah.
to bed. That was my Y2K New Year's Eve.
We were sitting there waiting for something to happen, and it never did. And it was like, come on, we could have been visiting family,
Yeah,
keeping us here on
exactly.
base.
What you able to do? It's like watch a plane drop down
Yeah,
next to you. It's like,
I don't know. Clean up plane crashes. I don't know.
ah, yeah, it was crazy times back then. Crazy.
Yeah,
It shows that it doesn't matter when there's going to be something crazy to make us all kind of run around like
yeah,
ants.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, congratulations on your new position at your work, and I hope that does
Thank you.
bode well. Of course, upcoming, of course, this week. I'm going to have to try to make an effort to listen to Friday Night Frolics on Friday. So
Yeah.
to partake in that one, throw a few little digs at you. And I hope Doomcock better have a good song to sing for you too. That's all I got.
I don't know what he's got planned. I'm a little nervous, but it'll be hilarious either way. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
As
I
long
think
as
what's
he
going to
leaves
happen.
Harvey out of it.
I was going to say, I think it's going to be Harvey that sings.
Probably.
In fact, I might have to do a super chat and go, Doomcock, please have Harvey sing a special song for Wendy.
Oh, Lord.
And Beth would be on my side on that one, too.
I'm sure she would. Oh, goodness.
So, yeah, I mean, but I suppose, yeah, I mean, with those hard floors and the ER and not much padding, like you said, running around, yeah, I mean, I know you're 29 years old, but when you hit 30, that's when it all goes down. And, your
Right.
30th birthday here,
Yeah.
30 years old, you're just not 29 no more. So,
right.
As
Well,
30
I was a combat nurse up until I retired from the Army in 2008. I was 38 years old when I retired.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in fantastic shape at 38. And then I got the 40. I started putting on a couple of pounds, but I was still in shape.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the 50, and it was like, okay, well, I can't run 3 miles anymore. I'm going to only run 2 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's like, well, okay, I run a mile. And it takes me longer to run that 1 mile now than it used to take me to run 2 miles.
Oh.
So.
And you look at yourself in the mirror going, what did I do to myself? I do that all the time.
From Aerosmith, that song, what is it, Dream On, where he says the lines on my face are getting clearer? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dream on, dream on.
That was a good song, man. Love that song. He wrote that song when he was like 14.
That's right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
I saw something about it on YouTube. There was a YouTube, he's a music major at a university, and he was covering that song and talking about just how strange all the chords are and how the conflict of chords actually works together. And that's what I found out. He wrote that song Steve Tyler wrote it when he was 14. You just don't expect a 14-year-old to have that kind of wisdom.
No.
I know 80-year-olds that don't have that kind of wisdom.
I'm 53 and I have none whatsoever.
I have a little bit, but mainly because I've seen a lot of trauma. So and been shot at in Afghanistan. So.
Oh yeah, that does it. That.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with the music and of course Aerosmith. The other thing, my other favorite story about Aerosmith is "Walk This Way." How he took that from Young Frankenstein.
Yeah. I really liked when they did the DNC version with them. That was good. I actually thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Walk this way. Yeah, that was a fun
bust
one.
Through the window when a DNC starts singing it and he can hear them through the wall. That was a good one. That was a good version. I like that one.
Always fun.
But anyway. So how about a joke?
You know what? Is it Harvey?
Harvey's not here. That way we don't have to listen to one of his horrible jokes afterwards. This is a medical joke.
Okay, medical joke. Here we go.
2 guys were sitting in the endoscopy lab waiting for their turn for their endoscopy. The second guy looked to the first guy and he says, "What are you in for?" And the first guy says, "It's a scope down into the stomach." The second guy says, "Oh, yeah, you're going to check for stomach cancer?" First guy says, "Yeah." And the first guy says, "What are you in for?" The second guy says, "Oh, colonoscopy." And the first guy says, "Oh, you making sure you're clean, no colon cancer?" And the second guy said, "Nah. Yesterday, my really hot neighbor was sunbathing outside nude, and my wife caught me taking a picture." Not as good as Donnie, please, but that was a real story. The guy that Jimmy was doing the colonoscopy on. You can't make that up.
Oh, the one that's not tonight.
Yeah, of course the guy was medicated on the colonoscopy, and halfway through, they're working their way on the colonoscopy, and all of a sudden, the guy weaves his hand at his butt and says, "Donnie, please, I'm trying to sleep."
There we go. I love that
Remember?
story. Hmm.
And Jimmy says that she looked at the room, is like, "I think Donnie's been here." Like, yeah, I think so.
Poor Donnie. He'll live in infamy from now on.
Yeah.
I still like the apple. How did he swallow the apple whole?
Yeah. Like I said, whenever you work in like where I've worked for all these years in trauma and doing this urgent emergent stuff, you just can't make it up.
I know.
You just
It's
can't.
and the long suffering. She was telling me that of course she's in the medical field and she knows.
Right.
One of the principals she knows is a nurse. I think she let something out today going that uh, uh, dear people, sincerely, nothing goes accidentally up your butt. Sincerely,
Right.
the emergency room staff.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
Now, it might be different. You might not have intended anything like that to happen, but it's never by accident.
It's never by accident. No. You don't just fall on it.
And the Nerdporial Life Forum is here. Hello, Nerdporial. And yeah, I'm ready for tomorrow. I'm already been brushing up. So we're going to have a show about the Forbidden Planet with Leslie Nielsen and Robbie the Robot.
Really?
Yeah, on this
Oh.
channel. So looking forward to that.
Check in. That sounds like a good show.
I hope so. Even if I'm on it, I hope it's a good show.
You don't give yourself enough credit.
Oh, that's not the wife says. She says I give myself far too much credit. Far too much credit. So I hear you've been gracing people with stories that you let John. And John, unfortunately, is not with us today. He's got a lodge meeting, so he said, "Yeah, a lodge meeting is much more important than you, Baron." So he went off. Hey, Captain Trek.
Yeah.
And
he's really into that. I don't blame him. He's into that.
I don't blame him. I'm glad he's off doing that, doing his stuff there. So had a nice chat with him the other week, of course, about that. And but he, as you were saying, you graced some stories that him and Zach's have heard already. Of course, I'm, the one I'm interested in is about how you got groped.
Yeah.
Someone. You got groped. How?
This was, golly. This was, I guess, before Thanksgiving in 2020. Mm-hmm. Right before Thanksgiving. No, I'm sorry, right after Thanksgiving, actually. I remember it was right after. I was on call. It was in the middle of the week, but I was on trauma call for the night shift in the middle of the week on a Wednesday. And so I got called out. They said, we got a gunshot wound, blah, blah, blah. And so I went in. Well, they told me I needed to hurry. The patient wasn't stable. So first of all, I grabbed my stuff. I ran out of the house, and I forgot to do two things. Number one, I forgot to put a bra on. And number two, I forgot to change out of my bunny slippers. And so I get out of my car at the hospital, and I'm running down the main hallway towards the elevator to the operating room. And there's a police desk there, and he sees me coming. He knows who I am, and he starts laughing his ass off at my bunny slippers. And then he takes off and starts following me down the hall, teasing me about it. And I called him a few choice words, which you're probably not supposed to call a man in uniform. An officer in uniform, but I did anyway. Which he just laughed. So we finally I get up there and I put my OR shoes on because I have regular surgical shoes that I wear that I don't wear outside the hospital. They only stay in the operating room. Mm-hmm. And I get in there, and so we start working, and I'm holding a big retractor, an abdominal retractor, because he's trying to work underneath the spleen has been hit, and so he's trying to take the spleen out. The surgeon is. And so he's working, and I'm standing right across from him, assisting him, and I'm pulling up on a retractor. Well, I had the retractor handle between my boobs.
Oh.
And without looking up, he reached for the handle of the retractor, but he grabbed my left breast. And what really bothered me, I think, was the fact that when he squeezed it and tweaked it, he still didn't realize it was a breast. And so I kind of leaned in and I tried to say it kind of not too loud, but I said, does that feel like a stainless steel retractor handle to you? And so then he looked up and he yanked his hand back real fast and turned bright red. And his eyes are darting around.
Situation.
Yeah. His eyes are darting around. He's bright red. He's like, and I told him, I said, be careful. The next words out of your mouth may make you wake up on the floor. And his eyes kept darting. He started giggling like Beavis and Butthead, literally, like he sounded like Beavis and Butthead. And then he said really loud, "You're not wearing a bra." So everybody in the room stops and looks at me. I'm like, oh crap! Now they're looking at me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, I was at home. They told me to hurry up.
I was at home. I didn't have a bra and I had bunny slippers on. I was comfortable. You called me in, so I could.
Yeah, and I told them that. I was like, I was at home. You know what? I forgot. I came in bunny slippers too. They told me to hurry up, so I hurried up. They all laughed, so we went back to work. And so now we're closing. We're getting the patient's abdomen. We're closing the patient's abdomen, and he starts giggling like Beavis and Butthead again. And I'm just looking. I'm like, what? And he says, I got some really good news. I said, what's that? Because trauma surgeons are also general surgeons. Mm-hmm. And so he says, well, I didn't feel any lumps in your left one. You want me to check the right? And the room erupted in laughter. And I was like, all right, he won. He won. I had all the power and I lost it. I'm not exactly. At what point I lost the power, I'm not sure.
I think when he started going. I think when he started going. Oh, oh.
Yeah. So then we get the broom. We finish closing, and he's taking his gown and gloves off, and he walks over to the trash hamper, and he spikes them down in his gown and gloves into the trash hamper really hard. And he starts doing the icky shuffle. Remember icky shuffle, the touchdown dance? The icky shuffle. He starts doing the icky shuffle. And we have a Filipino nurse, Michelle, and she didn't know what the hell that was. And so she's like, what are you doing? And she's laughing, and he's like, it's the icky shuffle. And she's like, I don't know what that is. Of course, everybody else is giggling. I'm just looking at him, shaking my head. But everybody else is laughing. And then he says, the icky shuffle, that's what you do. It's the dance you do every time you score a touchdown. And she's like, well, why are you doing that? And he said, because I just grabbed Wendy's boob and lived to tell about it. Yeah. That's a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, baby.
There we go. Exactly. He lived. He's celebrating life. He breathes again.
And I had all the power whenever he did it, and then I don't know what happened. He ended up winning. But we had the same surgeon, and this was just a few months ago whenever this guy decided to shoot himself in the chest with a nail gun, because he bet his friends that the new sensor on his nail gun would only pick up wood and it wouldn't pick up human tissue, and so it wouldn't fire into human tissue. Well, he was wrong.
Another one of those hold my beer moments, huh?
Yeah. His friends begged him not to do it. He bet him $50 it wouldn't happen. Whether or not they collected, I'll never know. But so we brought him up to the operating room. We brought him up to surgery, and because the nail had gone through his sternum and was sitting in his right ventricle of his heart, the left lower quadrant of his heart, what we had to do is we couldn't just saw his sternum open. Mm-hmm. We had to actually go down into his abdomen, upper abdomen, and work our way up underneath his sternum. And so we got up into the upper abdomen, and I took my left hand. I'm left-handed. So I took my left hand and I slid it up under the sternum until I could feel the nail in the heart. And so once I could feel the nail, the surgeon grabbed the same surgeon that grabbed my boob. He took the tires with the nail and he started very easily backing it out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now when the nail came out, my finger went into the heart, and it's still beating.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm basically I'm just corking the hole with my
Right.
finger, but I can't take
It,
my finger out. And now he's got to saw the chest open over my finger or over my hand
ooh.
because my hand is up underneath the sternum.
Mm-hmm.
And they get the saw ready, and he looks at me and he says, "I'm going to apologize in advance in case I cut you." And I
Mm-hmm.
looked at him. I said, "I swear to God, if you cut me, I'm going to break your nose."
Mm-hmm.
And then he smiled real big and he said, "But at least I'll still have my hand." Like, damn it, he got me again. That's
mm.
why he's a surgeon. He's smarter than me.
They got the book. I think they go through a class in that. So why
They
are you in there
do.
doing the medical version of the little Dutch boy?
Yeah.
He's the one that went out there and he goes, okay, okay, jokes for surgeons to torment their RNs with.
Yeah. Well, I got him one time a couple of years ago. Well, a few years ago. I got him one time, and it was because of course, we're down here on the border. And we had one of those smugglers with illegal immigrants coming across that got into a police chase with
Mm-hmm.
county and then with Texas DPS.
Mm-hmm.
And the van crashed, and there was like 20 people strewn across the road and stuff. So they had brought, they were coming in. And that had happened right before the beginning of our shift one night.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had been working from the beginning of our shift at 7, and this is now 4:30 in the morning, and we're still working.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had a break. We haven't been able to eat. We've just been going straight through. And the surgeon is now starting to get tired. And what he has a tendency of doing when he starts to get tired is he tends to pick on me and get me to banter back and forth with him to keep him awake. And I was so damn tired that I just looked over at him and I said, "You know what time it is? It's 4:30 in the morning. We haven't stopped. We've been going nonstop. At this point, I got like one good smartass comment left in me, and I'll be damned if I waste it on you." And he just looked at me, and he was like, "Can I use that on my wife?" And I was like, "Go ahead." And he thought that was the greatest thing in the world. That was the only time I've ever gotten him. I guess he's been working on it since then, because he's gotten me twice since then.
Okay, well, there we go. But I suppose the fact that they didn't take that nail out saved that guy's life. I could imagine.
It was the nail head was dimpling the skin.
Okay.
It had gone in so deep that it was dimpling the skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even it just whenever the surgeon was trying to grab it with the pliers, he could barely get a hold of the head with the pliers because it was dimpled down so far in his skin.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, somebody had to put their finger in the cork the hole. Otherwise, he would have bled out before we could have opened his sternum.
Yeah, kind of like kind of similar to Steve Irwin when he had that where the stingray went in the heart and they pulled it out.
He
like,
yanked it out. Yeah,
I
don't know. I mean, golly, they were out in the water. I really don't think he could have survived anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they'd left it in, I really don't think that he would have. And pretty much all the trauma people and surgeons and stuff that I work with have always said that we really doubt he could have made it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of those barbs on the stingray, that it has barbs in it, and what's gone in has made a bigger hole than what's actually already in. So you're not actually corking it because the hole is technically bigger than the axis of the of the tail of the sting, because of those barbs making it larger. Mm-hmm. So I really don't think that he would have survived getting back to shore and getting to a hospital.
Mm-hmm. That. So how, I have to ask, how do you get that? How are you able to go those long periods? Because you said many times about these long hours that it had virtually no stop, no rest, no chance to even eat. How are you able to keep that going? Is it adrenaline training?
It's adrenaline. It's a combination of adrenaline and training, and just staying focused on what's at hand. Because like when we had all these patients at one point at our hospital, we had 6 helicopters that night with all those illegal immigrants. We had 6 helicopters all over the parking lot and out in the fields and in the halo pad. The halo pad can take 2 regular life support helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
We had 6 of them out there. And so, because you see them come in, because I always go to the ER whenever we would have traumas. Now it's Kathy's job to go to the ER, but I would always go to the ER every time the trauma pager would go off. And so I'm assessing, and I know this is what we've got. We're doing this one first, then we're going to do this one, then we're going to do this one, then we're going to do this one, and then we're going to do this one. So you just stay focused on, this is what I need to do now. This is what we're getting ready for. We need to start getting ready for this. We need to start getting ready for this. And just through focus and adrenaline, you do it because you have to. You have to. You're not thinking of the time. And whenever you look at the clock and then you realize, crap, I haven't even eaten yet, But it's just staying focused.
The last thing you want to do is look at that clock. Keep focused on everything else. And,
yeah.
The eye on the prize, getting these people healthy, get them so they can get healthy.
Right. But that's pretty much how it's done. Now, and this didn't start until I think it was like 2012-ish. Before 2012, if you were on call, as long as there was cases to be done, you had to work. One time, the longest shift I ever worked for being on call was 28 hours straight. Now, the Texas instituted a law back in, I think, 2012-ish, stating that after 16 hours, even if you're on call, you have to have 8 hours off before you can start back up on your call again. So you have to be away from the hospital for 8 hours after 16 hours. But yeah, I did 28 hours straight, surgery after surgery after surgery after surgery after surgery, just for 28 hours.
And no rest or no chance just to sit back and wow.
No. But when you start off in the operating room, and for me, I can kind of say that because I was a combat nurse and we would be deployed and we'd be out on missions. Sometimes the missions, your missions, you didn't know how long they were going to last. And so you had to stay focused for that long or you could get killed.
Right.
So whenever I went into the operating room, I kind of kept that same mentality, knowing I wasn't going to die, but with the same mentality that I have a job to do. I can't stop. I have to keep going until the job's done. I see a lot of these younger nurses coming out of school, and they cry because they have to work 12-hour shifts. And eventually you get used to 12s. 12s are hard. You've worked 8s for a while, 8-hour shift. 12s can be kind of tough for the first month or so, but you get used to it. And then, once you do 12-hour shifts, if you have to stay around another 4 hours, do a 16-hour shift, as long as you can learn to keep your focus and concentrate on the job at hand and not just let your mind wander, this is what I could be doing. You can't do that. You have to stay focused.
Right.
And eventually, newer nurses, they pick it up, and then there they are. And then they will laugh about how they cried when they had to work 12-hour shifts.
I remember doing 12-hour shifts. Obviously not in the medical field, but I hated it. But just imagine doing that in 12 hours or 16 hours or 28 hours for on your end on that one. It's like, my hat's off.
My working that 28 hours, that wasn't the only time that ever happened to anybody. You just learn to suck it up. Because that was the beast of your job.
Right.
You just learn to suck it up.
Even though your life didn't hinge on it, somebody else's did, and that's important.
Yeah, somebody else was in trouble and they needed help. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. The old saying goes, rock and roll.
That's right.
Turn on some Doomcock and hope Harvey doesn't sing.
Yeah, yeah. Or wish that Harvey would get out and stomp you and end it.
Yep, there we go. Push the button. Push the button. I always root for that. I know what will happen. Let's do it. I'm done. I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah. I if I can ever make another, well, now that I'm not working so much, hopefully I can. I've got this little like, it looks like a dunce hat,
Mm-hmm.
but I got it like some metal sheet metal wrapped around it, and it's to a point on the end, so that whenever he stomps on me, I'll
Mm-hmm.
stick him in the foot. He'll
Like a
remember
big
me.
old pack. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that was Wendy. I remember her. I liked her. I was going to kill her last.
Yeah, no, I think after Halloween, he threatened I was gonna go first. And gave him a hard time and told him that his tentacles would be delicious fried. He didn't seem to
Well,
like that.
well, the one thing I have to think about is that doctor should have been very happy you weren't wearing your armor with the exploding ends.
Yeah, right. With the femgot guns coming out. I showed
Thank you,
him
Fenway.
that yeah, really. He's so awesome. I showed him the avatar. He thought it was the coolest. Oh dear, oh dear.
Ah,
I need to go find my vape. Hold on.
well, as you can see, I don't vape. I'm hardcore.
I smoked cigarettes most of my adult life up until January 1st, 2016.
Mm,
And I changed over to e-cigarettes, which
mm-hmm,
worked okay.
mm-hmm.
But eventually I went to vaping, but I vape at a very low nicotine level. I've just been slowly taking it down. I'm down to 12 now.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
So,
good.
yeah. So, but
Yeah, as I like to tell people, I was the only juvenile delinquent that smoked a pipe. I didn't like cigarettes, so.
I've always wanted to smoke a pipe, but I don't know how.
Oh, it's not hard.
You have to do a little video on that for beginners.
Oh, maybe I should. Maybe I should. Then you can get one of those corn cob ones and be like
Yeah.
Grandma Moses.
Yeah. Need to do a video on it for us beginners that want to try it. I love the smell of pipe smoke. I really do. My grandfather was a pipe smoker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I always love the smell of a pipe. And, I can tell you, there are some tobacco for pipes that are absolutely atrocious and smell
Yeah.
horrible. But there's some that, like you said, just nice. I like English blend, so I like having Lackia, so it's got that heavier English uh,
Uh,
air to it, for lack of
mhm.
a better word. And
Yeah. You're a pipe aficionado. You need to do a video on it.
today is Baron 101 pipe smoking. Yeah.
That's right. Oh
So,
my.
though, and your status though, is there still a chance that they could ask you to go into the ER now and then to help out in situations, or
Uh,
has that been no?
well, I've never really been an ER nurse, so I rely very heavily on my ER manager
Mm-hmm.
to run it for me so that I can just do the administrative paperwork that he doesn't like to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually a great guy. His name is Mark. He's a great guy. I actually never they
Mark.
gave I never looked for the position. Nobody applied for the position for ER director. Whenever the former nursing director had retired, nobody applied for the position.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even have an ER nurse manager.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had pulled me in one day and just said, well, nobody's applying for the ER director position, so we're going to just take trauma surgical services and ER, and we're going to make it all under one, and you're going to be the director of both. And I was like, wait, I didn't apply for a reason. I'm not an
Mm-hmm.
ER nurse. You know?
Yeah, you're a trauma warrior.
That's right. I've been in the ER a lot and watched what they do, but
Mm-hmm.
that's more of Mark's job. Mark was an ER nurse he was a Marine. He was an ER nurse in the Marines, and he did his
Mm-hmm.
deployments in Iraq. So he got some really great experience in Iraq.
Yeah.
And he was working on his master's at the time, and I was so desperate for an ER manager. He only had a couple of months left before
Mm-hmm.
he would get his master's. But I went ahead and placed him into the position. He'd already been a charge nurse in that ER for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just natural that I brought him in, and I trust everything he does. Now in the operating room, because besides having my master's in nursing, I'm also what's called an RNFA, which is an
Okay.
RN first assist, which means that I'm a surgical first assistant. I assist surgeons,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually have a license through the American Board of Surgery to assist surgeons in any state in the union.
Okay.
And so a lot of times during the week, because I did a lot of heart surgeries, like I think it was last week I did a redo heart valve.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it. It was an elective redo heart valve that we did last week, and I went in and assisted on it because the surgeon had called me and asked me if I would assist him. I've
Mm-hmm.
still got 3 more surgeries that I'm scheduled to assist for after I come back on April 18th. But after that, I'm going to try to stop doing that too because my leg just hurts so bad, and the surgeons know my leg hurts.
Mm-hmm.
But if they really want me to come in and help for a complex case, then yeah, I'll probably do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have so much paperwork to do because with covering the entire trauma services at a level 1 trauma hospital,
Mm-hmm.
that's a full-time job. Plus having to, having the employees come in and give you requests and just talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
And something that they've lacked is administrative. And that's just something that I feel like I was kind of cheating the ER staff out of that by not being in that role for the last few months.
Okay. So.
But, and whenever I talked to I had gone to request a meeting with the hospital administrator and the chief nursing officer of the hospital, which is the CNO. She is actually the head nurse over the entire hospital. So as a director, she's my direct supervisor.
Okay.
And I had requested a meeting because I wanted to tell them that I'm thinking that I'm going to be stepping down from trauma surgery and letting Kathy take the reins on that, on the trauma surgery side. Now that she has her
Okay.
master's. They actually were, I didn't tell them why I was calling the meeting. I just asked for a meeting. And
Mm-hmm.
so they thought I was getting ready to resign.
I can understand that fear.
And so they offered me a pretty good lump sum raise. That and at first I was kind of confused because I thought, why are they offering me a raise? What the hell is wrong with these people?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the administrator was saying, you don't understand. We have so many more plans for you in the future. And then the CNO is telling me that she's retiring. She plans on retiring in 3 years, and I'm up for her position. She wants to groom me to take the CNO job in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can have Mark take over the ER, the director. And
Okay.
I'm just listening to them, and I'm like, holy crap! That's whenever I figured out they thought I was resigning,
Mm-hmm.
offering me a large lump sum, a raise, not to resign. And so I told them the real reason that I called for the meeting and told them what my plans were. And then they were like, "Oh, okay." Whew. I said, "But since you're offering that lump sum that the hospital can seem to afford all of a sudden."
Mm-hmm.
I have some staff members that need to have much needed raises here. I've got staff members with young families that are living paycheck to paycheck, and they deserve that money.
Mm-hmm.
I said, please, you offered it to me, give it to my staff. And one of my most underpaid titles of underpaid staff members, the title of ER technicians, which are kind of like nurse aides in the emergency room, but they do more than nurse aides because they can start IVs and little things like that. They're more like, I would consider them LVNs instead of
Okay.
nurse aides personally. But they're getting paid for nurse aide work, like a nurse aide on a floor, which is just a little bit above minimum wage. But they deserve so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And
Was
so I was able to negotiate and tell him, well, maybe if you can't help my staff, maybe I should go ahead and find another hospital. Oh, so I got raises for my staff because they played their cards too soon.
there. Never play poker with Wendy Webb people. She's got you right there. She can tell. She knows the tells. Well, that's nice that they
Uh,
got that.
they deserved
Especially these
it.
days. Yeah, definitely
They
they
deserved it. I
do.
mean, with inflation, I just look at these young families. I'm your age. We're not
Yep.
as young as we used to be. I still like to think I'm young, but I know I'm not. But
Yep.
you know, I live comfortably with my salary.
Hmm.
They need more.
Right.
They're living paycheck to paycheck. That's not right. And I see how hard they work.
Hmm.
I watch them. I see how hard they work. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I told them, that money that apparently the hospital can afford to pay me, I want you to pay them.
Hmm. There we go. Exactly. They're the ones that are keeping me around. I mean, if you lose them, what do you have?
They
They
are
can't
in the
afford.
trenches. They are in the
Hmm.
trenches. Anytime if they decide to move off to another hospital that's not as stressful,
Hmm.
because these ER techs could very easily go into another hospital that didn't have to worry a lot about trauma and
Hmm.
all this kind of stuff, and do a lot less stressful ER work where it's mostly medication or medicine type patients, not trauma patients.
Hmm. And
They'll take it.
especially now, there's a lot of hospitals that need help now. They lost a lot of
Yeah.
help, so it's like, yeah,
And
I go to another.
hospitals are giving ridiculous sign-on bonuses to
Hmm.
retain staff. You
Yeah.
have to pay your staff and let them know you appreciate them, or
Hmm.
you're going to lose them to another hospital that offers them a huge sign-on bonus.
Hmm. And they'll take it up. I mean,
They will.
yeah, and you can't blame them. You can't blame at all.
I don't blame them at all. So they deserve the. I'm not going to actually tell them I negotiated their raise because I would prefer they
Mhm.
think that they earned it on their own
Mhm.
rights, and
Right.
that the hospital in general recognizes it. So I'm not
Hmm.
ever going to tell them that, but they deserved it,
No.
and they got
Yeah.
their first their paycheck last Friday, had the raises on them, and a lot of them were actually coming to me and said, "I think there's a mistake. Are they going to take this money away later?" And I said, "No, they're going to take it away. Just enjoy
So,
it."
yeah.
Yeah,
Surprise!
yeah,
It's like they earned it, and there was somebody in the hospital that negotiated right for them, and that's the important thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not the union leader. Wendy Webb, union boss.
We're not even unionized down here.
Well, you're not. Okay.
No, we're not unionized.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean the long suffering. Well, she was in the hospital unionized up here, but where she's at now, she took a job. An office job now, but still in the hospital system and such like that. That the one she went to isn't union no more, but yeah, they had sign on bonuses to go over there and everything just for what she was
Yeah,
doing. So,
yeah,
and of course, she was in the same boat as you. It was like she was walking like I can't remember how many miles. She was doing like 10,000, 11,000 steps a day at work, walking
yeah,
around that hospital. And it's like just the other week herself, she said, "Yeah, I put my resignation in." Because she was still on kind of that, you can come back and help out type of status at the hospital. And she determined that no, I mean, now I have to keep up in two places with my medical stuff. Uh, that's just going to be too much, and now I don't have to worry about paying my union dues, and now and focus completely on this job here. So yeah, it's one of those things.
yeah,
She was with a team. Over there, it was so hard leaving that team. Just like you get to see your team, though, thankfully. She had to go to their facility. So,
right.
but when she did that, I suppose she had the same problem that you have now. Now that you're not in scrubs all the time, you actually have to get a wardrobe.
No, I still wear scrubs.
Oh,
All
you
the
do?
directors still wear scrubs. It's just
Okay.
instead of wearing the light blue surgical scrubs, I'm wearing the dark blue scrubs like all other nurses.
Okay.
All RNs. The RNs in my hospital wear dark blue scrubs. And
So
so I'm
you don't
wearing
have.
dark blue scrubs.
So you don't. When you wake up in the morning, you have to. You just go. Okay, which dark blue scrubs do I have today? This one, this
Yeah.
one, this one. I think I'll do this.
Do
I
I
think
want to
this is
wear
pretty.
do I want to wear the dark blue dickies or the dark blue dickies or the dark blue dickies?
Well, at least that makes that easier there for you. To be honest, the long suffering was more than happy not to have to wear scrubs all the time no more. So,
I
but
don't
you
know if I could get away from scrubs. I've gotten so used to them.
hmm
I'd
Yeah,
wear it at the wedding if they'd let me.
don't they have wedding attire scrubs out there? You'd
Nah,
think
no
that.
wedding, no wedding scrubs,
No
no
wedding.
tuxedo scrubs. I don't know.
It's sad.
My
It's
my
sad.
my daughter-in-law is a pediatric nurse
Okay.
and on the pediatric floor, and she gets to wear all these colorful cartoon scrubs and stuff all the time. And the
hmm
rest of the hospital, she's an RN, so she wears the dark blue pants, but because they're pediatric, they get to wear all these really cool, bright cartoon scrub shirts. And
hmm
my gosh, whenever she first got the job back in May last year, my son was complaining that she spent over $500 just on scrub shirts.
I can see that. And of course, everyone else is jealous, going, "I wish I could wear those."
Yeah. Well, I mean, she doesn't. I'm sure she'll get a little spot of blood here or there or something, but
hmm
the dark blue
But
scrubs
now,
for nurses, it hides a lot.
right, exactly, and that's what you kind of want to have is to have that kind of hit, especially when you got to talk to people afterwards.
Yeah,
When you
we
walk
should.
out.
The surgery wears those light blue scrubs, and I always had to be very wary. And whenever I would go out to speak to family members, if it was a very bloody trauma,
hmm
because there would be blood all over the bottom of my pants, because I'd be wearing a
hmm
surgical gown, which only comes down to about high shin. So from the
Okay.
from the shin, from the below the knee down to the feet, it's nothing but blood.
hmm
And so even before I could go talk to family members of trauma patients that we'd done surgery on, I had to change pants.
Yep.
Just because you don't want
Definitely.
to walk out there and have the family see how much blood their loved one may have lost. Hey, John.
John finally made it. You're late. No. I hope you had fun today at your lodge meeting. The Mystical Order of Water Buffalo. He just joined them now, so
Oh, cool.
have to. I think the top secret itinerary today was to make sure they keep Steve Gutenberg a star. They haven't been doing a good enough job of that.
No, they haven't, have they?
No, not at all. Has he done anything lately?
He fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, he has. It's like almost immediately too. It's like he was all over the place, and uh, of course, Three Men and a Lady. We were talking about that because of Laird Nimoy's birthday not too long ago here, and how Laird
Yeah.
Nimoy directed that film. Steve Gutenberg and Tom Selleck and Ted Danson. So he was like, okay, you got three of the handsome leading guys around, and Tom Selleck and Ted Danson are still out there doing stuff. It's like, well,
Yeah.
where's Steve? Where's Steve? Steve, where are you?
I hadn't even thought about him in so long. I need to look it up and see what he's doing. If he is, I mean, maybe he pulled a Rick Moranis and retired.
Yeah, he might have. He does have the actual ritual from the Order of the Buffalo.
Oh,
I would like to see
Police
that.
Academy. I love those Police Academy movies.
Oh yeah, they were great. I mean, he was good in those films, and uh, I think one of the problems, I don't know, did he try going serious? A lot of these comedic actors want to go serious,
Yeah,
and like no, Tom
yeah,
Hanks, it worked out for him, but it's like sometimes you should just stay with the comedy.
yeah. Sometimes, I mean, if that's what you're known for, it's hard to get out of it.
Yep,
I mean, even
and
John Belushi was trying to get into more serious roles when he died.
yeah,
He had a more
uh,
serious role, that movie that he'd written for himself to get into, but nobody would take it. They wanted the funny
Mhm.
guy.
Right. I think one of his last films was Continental Divide, and what was he?
Yeah, exactly. It didn't go so well.
No, it didn't. And what was it with Holly Hunter? I can't remember who he was paired up with. Someone who was kind of known. It's like, yeah, I mean, he did a good job. He was great in it, but yeah, it didn't
Yeah,
really
yeah,
resonate. But then him and Dan Aykroyd did that other film where they reversed roles. Dan Aykroyd was acting more like Belushi, and Belushi was acting like
yeah.
Dan
Right.
Aykroyd. And
I always wonder how would have Ghostbusters had turned out, because that role that for Vakeman's role was written for Belushi. I
yes,
always wonder how that would have turned out with Belushi.
I think about it too because I think he would have definitely played it more reserved than what he usually had done, but
Right.
just as comedic. And
Yeah.
him playing off of Aykroyd, those guys already had that
Right.
history together.
Yeah.
I think I think that would have been absolutely wonderful. I mean,
I
it's
think he
so
would
hard
have
to
done
replace.
pretty good.
I think so. Obviously, Bill Murray was super, right up there with that role. But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Belushi,
he and Harold Ramis had chemistry from before
yeah.
that movie with Stripes and you
Mhm.
know. So, but yeah, Bill Murray has a certain touch to punchlines and sarcastic remarks, and I give him that.
Right.
So did Belushi. I think Belushi could have done it too, but I sometimes wonder. I just wonder.
There has to be a parallel universe where Belushi did do Ghostbusters,
There
and
has
one of
to
these
be,
days, hopefully, that film will get to us and we can see that.
hopefully.
Hopefully, I mean, I remember, if do you remember the old Police Squad series with Leslie Nielsen before they did the
Yes.
right, and of course, every episode starts off with their special guest star, and the special guest star gets killed off in the credits.
Right.
Shatner, Lauren Green, all those guys. They actually did one up with John Belushi. John Belushi was going to be one of their special guest stars, but then his death happened. So
Um.
they quickly changed it to something else, and I guess the footage of that got lost. It was basically, I
That.
think the footage was him wearing cement galoshes going down to the bottom of the water. Was what his
Wow.
and I think after all this time it'd be funny to see, just to
Yeah.
remember. Uh,
Right.
but but yeah, it's like John, why why?
Yeah. And what was the other SNL guy? The big guy. What was his name? He did all those funny movies.
Chris Farley, yeah,
Yeah, there you go, Folly. He
yeah,
wanted to get into a serious role. He was trying to get into to do a Fatty Arbuckle.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He wanted to do a biopic on Fatty.
Yeah, he wanted to do a Fatty Arbuckle.
Yeah, we talk about a
I,
guy who got shafted. Was
big
Roscoe?
time,
Oh,
big time.
I was reading where he was going to be the director because he was doing a lot of stuff under nom de plume, you might say, but still
Right.
working in the industry. And he was going to be the director for Sherlock Jr. with Buster Keaton. But they
Hmm.
said that he was so bitter at that time because of experience. He was just so bitter he couldn't focus on the job
Right.
and modeling that Buster Keaton basically you're done, and he took over and directed himself in that film.
Yeah, that was another talent wasted.
It was well, and of course this question here. Actually, do you know who the role would have gone to? Who they wanted to have the role? It wasn't Ernie Hudson.
I have no
Eddie
idea.
Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was actually
Really?
picked for that role. Yep, but Eddie Murphy decided not to do it, and I can't remember which film. Can't remember if it was Beverly Hills Cop he went to do
It had to
instead.
be Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah. hmm And that so he opted for that, which was probably the best career move that he made on there. But oh,
Probably.
it would have been absolutely interesting to see him, the new set SNL with the old
Yeah.
SNL together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I suppose he got that with Trading Places.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually a pretty good show. I wasn't sure what I'd think of it going in watching it, but I actually kind of liked it. It was
With
it wasn't
Trading
bad.
Places.
Trading Places.
Oh
It
yeah,
wasn't bad. It was pretty
yeah.
good.
They had a damn good cast in that one too.
They did.
And I think that's what helps make it. We need films like that. Ah,
Exactly. Well,
but you-
Jimmy and I, while we're every night we're planning to watch old movies or older shows that would not be shown anymore today or would
mhm,
never have made it today. Some of the
mhm,
Mel Brooks stuff.
mhm.
One of the movies that we're going to watch while we're on our honeymoon at the fishing house is Yellowbeard. Do you remember
Oh,
Yellowbeard?
yep. That was Marty Feldman's last role.
It was.
Mhm.
And it was Monty Python and Cheech and Chong collaboration.
Yes, it was, and
And we're
it
going to
didn't do
watch
well.
it.
Mm.
It
Yeah, it
didn't.
didn't. No, no, but it's like, is that a bad movie? It's been a long time since I see it. I gotta see that one again.
Yeah, well, it's one of the ones we're going to watch because we haven't seen it in quite a while. And it was like we were both thinking about it. And it's like, we're going to watch Yellowbeard. Remember Yellowbeard? So we're thinking of movies that we're going to watch every night while
Hmm.
we're on our little honeymoon.
Yeah, yeah, and and try to hit some of those that people don't think of anymore. That's you got to do a
Yeah.
report back to Doomcock on that one. It's like this one, this one, this one, and let them know.
Yeah. And the Corsican Brothers. Corsican Brothers is on the
Hmm.
list. We
Yep,
got
and they're
Corsican
Cheech and Chong film,
Brothers. Yep.
and and those two were trying to Cheech and Chong were trying to play something out of type in that one.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's get away from the Weed Man and do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a good movie. I loved it. I really enjoyed that movie. That
And
was
I think,
funny.
yeah, and I think unfortunately, the big thing is they're going against type, and at that time, people didn't want to see Cheech and Chong other than Cheech and Chong.
Right.
I think
Which
that's what hurt.
those movies were pretty funny. But I actually think Corsican Brothers was just a step up and a little bit more brilliant with the brothers. One hits each other to make the other one hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Dangerously, that one's going on the list, John. Johnny
There we go.
Dangerously, that's going on the list.
And what a cast that film has! Besides Michael
Yes.
Keaton and Joe Pescopo, you have,
Yes.
of course, Peter Boyle in there. Oh man,
Yeah.
you were fogging
Yeah.
and ice holes.
Well, Peter Boyle was in Yellowbeard. He played
Oh,
the
that's
antagonist in Yellowbeard as well.
you're absolutely right. It's been so long since I've seen it, but you're absolutely right. Yes, he was in that one. It was kind
Yeah.
of
He
a
and
reunion
Marty
for him. And
Feldman were buddies.
yeah, I forgot about that one. Now I gotta find it. I gotta hunt down Yellowbeard and
It's
watch
on
it myself.
it's on Amazon Prime.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
It's on the list. We'll write that down.
Okay.
The missus
Yeah.
and I used to do movie nights, and actually, our movie nights were on Fridays generally, and we'd find cheap, trashy, silly, stupid films to watch.
Yeah.
We called it our trashy movie night, and our daughters hated it. They didn't want anything to do with it, which is fine. Go away. This is for us.
Well, and being that Jimmy and I are lesbians, we're gonna throw Elvira in there.
Oh yeah. Well, now that she came out not too long
That's
ago.
right.
Too, I hear.
You're right. Yeah. So
And
we're gonna do an Elvira movie.
yeah, what's the mystery? Yeah, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. There you go.
Yep.
It's not Halloween, but what the hey, huh?
Yep.
Here we go. Have a little fun with Elvira, and let's see what. Oh, then you have to play some music by Samantha Fox too.
The what?
Oh, remember the singer Samantha Fox in the '80s? She was really hot. All the guys were going Google Gaga over her, and she was doing like posters, risque posters, and photo shoots. And then then it comes out she was a lesbian too, and all these guys are going. It's like, settle down, guys. You never had a chance in the first place if she was straight. You guys look at me. Do you think there was any chance you would have had that? No. In fact, it was probably somebody like that that made her go gay. I don't know.
You never know.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Johnny Dangerous. We add that on the list. Elvira's
Totally.
on the list. Corsican
Yeah.
Brothers. The long suffering. What's this one? A Bubba Hotep with Ozzie Davis and Bruce Campbell.
Oh, I'll have to put that one on there too.
Yeah, it's a weird one, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we're into the weird stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think you'd like it.
Rocky Horror. Yeah, love the Rocky Horror. That was pretty weird.
I like the fact in that film, in Bubba Hotep, Ozzie Davis claims that he is JFK. He survived the assassination. Of course, Ozzie Davis is black, and it's like
Right.
you're JFK, and that's the whole joke and premise around it.
Yeah. Well,
How politically correct you can get.
no, no most Doomcock, and I know Sandra and Raymond knows, but Jimmy is African American, but she
Okay.
really does. She's not really into any of those kind of movies.
Hmm.
She grew up in South Chicago, so she didn't grow up in the greatest, but
Hmm.
she worked her way into becoming a doctor and a surgeon through the army.
Okay.
But she's she really never. Of course, her family disowned her after she told them she came out to them. They disowned her.
Oh, that's sad to hear.
Yeah. So, but she invited them to the wedding, and they never responded. So I guess they're not coming.
But
But that's okay because my family has adopted her.
and that's what's important. If one of the families say, "Hey,
Yeah.
that's what it's all. It's family. It's family.
Right.
It doesn't have to be
Well,
blood." I mean,
my dad is going to walk her down the aisle, and my son is going to walk me down the aisle.
oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So
Now, are
she
you
was
going to
very
put?
nervous. She was
I
very
can imagine.
nervous whenever she was being African American. The first time she met my family, she was really nervous. But they already knew that she was a doctor. I'd already told them she's a surgeon that I work with before I introduced her the first time, and they were just wide open with their arms. They don't care,
Hmm.
you know.
Well, of course, you brought home a doctor. You did good.
That's right, right?
It's like, okay, well, you can go over there. We're going to talk to the doctor
Yeah.
here. Um,
Well, I will
I've
say
been
the one nice thing about that is whenever somebody in the family is sick, they don't call me, they call her.
there. We go. You're sitting back there enjoying a nice cold drink and have fun,
That's right.
honey.
Got you now.
Give me the death looks that's on the phone and goes, "Oh, I got you. I'm gonna get you." Oh, what other films do you have for your movie nights? It looks like we got four on the list now.
Yellowbeard,
We
Fortune
suggested.
Brothers. All right. Let's see. I'd have to go to the list. I
Mm,
have to add two to the list, but I'd have
yep,
to get up and
Johnny
walk across
Dangerously.
the room. Johnny Dangerously, definitely Johnny Dangerously. I
Look
got the
what we did, John
Elvira.
Rendell.
Yeah,
Look what we did. We're making her move. We're making her work.
I'm not
Are
moving.
you happy with yourself, Johnny? Oh yeah, okay.
Not until I need another vodka and Coke.
There we go. No, that's important. That's important. You need to
That's
have that.
important.
I'm trying to think of what would be a good film. Have you ever seen The Hidden with Kyle MacLachlan? I
No.
think it's like 1988. And I'm trying to remember who was the actor that was him. I can't. I got a middle block who he appeared with, but Kyle MacLachlan plays a human being who's has an alien in him, and he's hunting down this alien killer. It actually has Claudia Christian from Babylon 5 in there in a small role, and
Oh,
it's like a buddy cop type film, kind of ish, but it's serious. It's obviously serious. It's not like the humor in them, but they're trying to hunt down and find this alien president that goes from one body to another body and performs all these crimes. And Kyle MacLachlan's trying to capture him and bring him back, or eliminate one of the two. It's a good film. It's
I
one of those quiet.
The Hidden. I'll have to remember that one
Yeah.
because I've never seen it. I want to. That sounds really good. There's a
Hmm.
show that comes on. I think it's a sci-fi show. Um, it's called Resident Alien. It's kind of almost based on the same thing, except the alien only has one body.
Hmm.
He takes over the body, or I think he kills the actual doctor of this little town and clones the body that he walks around in. That's not a bad show.
All right.
It's okay. I mean, there's like a kid in the town that can see him as an alien and not as
Hmm.
a clone of the doctor, which is really funny because he's always trying to get the kid sent out, telling the parents that he's crazy, he needs to be institutionalized, but he never seems to get institutionalized.
Hmm. And yeah, what network is that one on? Who does that
I
one?
think it's on Sci-Fi.
Sci-Fi. Okay.
I think it's
or Sci-Fi.
sci-fi. Sci-fi. Yeah.
Sci-Fi. Oh,
Yeah.
I hated when they did that. I hated
Yeah,
that.
and they changed it over. I was confused. Whatever.
Well, when they were showing wrestling on Sci-Fi Channel, it's like, excuse me,
I
I want to see
actually
weird
saw
things.
19. You know what? I had seen 1941 before, and that's one that I need to put on the list.
There we go. I haven't seen that in probably 30 years. I know it's
Probably the
one that
same.
I know that's one where Steven Spielberg is still ashamed of the film to this
Yeah.
day. But
Yeah.
yeah, it
Kind
was
of what we're looking for, you know?
yeah. And really, honestly, is even if it's a bad film, it's amazing. Bad films in that time, even if it was a bad one, you didn't feel shortchanged when you walked out.
Yeah.
You didn't really feel that you wasted your time. It was like, yeah, it was a bad film, but it was still fun.
Right.
Now you have a
It's kind of
bad
like,
film. It's like,
yeah.
hmm,
It stinks.
yeah,
Even the blob
you're
wasn't bad.
yeah, you're in the bathroom, and you're cleaning yourself off after seeing a bad film. Now it's like, oh, it's so dirty, so dirty.
Yeah.
Back then it's like, okay, yeah, it's like you can almost laugh about it, or you start doing the MST3K where you start making
Yeah.
comments to the screen.
Right? Well, some of these newer movies that Jenny and I have watched where you see these people just getting, right next to an explosion. As
Mhm.
as medical personnel and trauma personnel, we end up having to critique and discuss why that person would not have actually survived if they weren't
Mhm.
the main character.
Yep.
We do a lot of critiquing of movies now, going, "Oh, there's no way that person wouldn't have even made it to the hospital."
BS, 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 super BS, BS.
Exactly. People always ask us if we watch this medical show or that medical show, and we're just saying, no.
Yeah, yeah. I
Drives
mean,
us crazy.
I think the last medical show I actually honestly watched was Saint Elsewhere, and I didn't, and I knew that wasn't, an accurate show in any sense of the imagination.
Yeah,
For me, for medical shows that I really liked watching was Emergency back in the 70s.
I loved Emergency. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know someone. She got into being an EMT because she just loved that show. Patty became EMT and all that, and worked in the medical field.
Hmm.
Even though she's a big science fiction geek and all that, but really deep down, I think in her heart that she was a medical and went that way. And I
The movie
remember
that
in the
the show that
sorry,
made me go into medicine and the army was MASH. The movie
oh, the
MASH.
original one, the
The
Robert Altman
movie.
film.
I liked the series, but the movie. Whenever I saw that movie as a kid, I thought I want to do something like that,
Hmm.
and I
Yeah,
was
and
hooked.
it for me. I was interested as a kid, watching it because it was Adam 12 and Emergency for me, and I watched all that. And I remember I went to school with a girl, and her father was on the police force in the town, and they
Mm,
brought him in to talk. And at that time, Hill Street Blues came out, and everyone was
yeah,
talking about, oh, Hill Street Blue, how gritty, how realistic this show is. And of course, you just say the kids are talking, asking questions. They bring it up to them, and they go, yeah, "Is this accurate? How accurate?" He goes, "It's like, well, the honest to God truth." He goes, "Be honest, it's nothing like that because we were in the suburb anyways. We weren't in the deep heart city." He goes, "If you want one that's accurate to how my police day goes, it's Adam 12." He goes, "That's
yeah.
that's that's the best accurate depiction you can get." And so those shows always held on to me, and I always at those times I always wanted to, but there was two. The one thing that got me that I did that got me out and are afraid of being in the medical field is they always say about trying to find the pulse. I could never find the pulse. I still can't find the pulse on somebody. It's like no, I forget it. I can't do it. And on Adam 12, the reason why I never want to be a cop is all the times I'm seeing them writing out reports. It's like that's the last thing I want to do is spend half my day going, okay,
Yeah,
report, 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 and it's like nah, 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 nah. I'll be a
yeah.
bum. Less
Yeah,
paperwork being a
being a
bum.
cop is a thankless job anyway.
Yeah, it
My
is.
grandfather, my mom's dad, was a police officer, and he was actually a homicide detective back in the 60s and 70s, and he
Hmm.
loved that Dragnet show.
Hmm.
You know,
Oh yeah,
Jim Webb was the man.
yeah,
James
uh,
Webb, whatever his name was.
yeah. Oh, now I got a mail block on the Webb's name. But yeah, when Stan Freberg got
Jack
in,
Webb.
Jack Webb, thank
Jack
you,
Webb.
and uh, Stan Freberg had a fun story about that. He goes when he was going to do his St. George and the Dragon Net and Little Blue Riding Hood, which were making fun of Dragnet. He
Yeah.
wanted to make sure he wouldn't get in trouble with Jack, and Jack always seemed to just just give me the information, ma'am. I just want to have the information. So
Yeah.
stoic and straight laced. He goes went into the office and talk with him. He's like, what a sense of humor the guy had, and how lively he was, and how he loved it so much that it's like, I'll let you use my orchestra for this. So he got the Mark Seven Orchestra to provide the music for this novelty album.
Hmm.
But Stan Freberg said the one thing that he came away from was he saw over his desk Jack Webb's star, and there's Jack Webb's star in this big pile of dog crap on it. And Jack Webb said, "Yeah, I put that up there." He goes, "Whenever I start feeling full of myself, I just look up there and see that and go, it humbles me right away."
Yeah.
I think we all need a little bit
Yeah.
of that. That's for
Well,
sure.
I can tell you, I've been humbled many times in the operating room doing trauma for so many years.
Hmm.
It's it's
But yeah,
it's it was a tough job.
I can imagine. It's like I'm glad you. Yeah, I'm glad you were getting to a better field, a little bit less hard on the old body on that one. So, and you're
Yeah.
still young. You're still young. You're younger than me. You're young. You're
Oh,
like I said, you
yeah.
just turned
I mean,
30.
I'm a
Are you
year
good?
behind you, so yeah,
Oh, you're 39, just like Jack Benny. Actually, you're 38. I'm
that's
always going to be
right.
39. Yeah, so you're
I guess I'm always
38.
38. Shit, that means I'm always just out of the army.
Oh no. Well, there we go.
I was in great
Don't
shape.
don't mess with her, people. In a heartbeat, she'll put you in
Another
the
thing I'm
ER.
looking forward to do, let me tell you, I love going to the shooting range. Jenny and I both do. We're both Army. And they have a brand new
Mm-hmm.
shooting range down there at Port Mansfield, Texas. And we're looking forward to going
Ooh.
down there and popping off some rounds. So
They're talking
go
about putting
fishing in the
one in a
morning.
town. Fish in the morning, shooting at night.
That's right.
See, when you're saying about fishing and how quiet and peaceful it is, not when I go fishing. I throw dynamite in the water.
Oh
So
God.
I want my limit now.
Well, the game wardens would be on top of us so fast.
Well, one boom and gone. It's like, oh, we didn't see. I didn't. Oh, that was a loud noise. Oh, I thought it was sonic boom from the.
I say quarter of that town of Port Mansfield is game wardens.
Now, here's a serious question: firearms side. Now, you're going out, you're plinking away, killing paper, trying to make smiley faces on the targets. What's your preferred piece of iron that you like to take and do
I like my 45 911.
that? It straight up military, huh?
Yep. That's what I carried as a sidearm in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I'm good. I had an AR-15 as well, but I'm really good with the 45. There was one time, whenever you're a woman and you go to a shooting range,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times the guys will think you don't know what you're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's unfortunate, but it happens. And at one time, I was getting my clips. I was loading up all my clips, and I was sitting them out because I was going to do some rapid fire.
Mm-hmm.
Pop the clip, pop in the next one, and just getting ready for some rapid fire. And a guy had walked up, and he told me, he says, "That's a really big gun. I don't think you should be starting with something like that." And I kind of looked at him, and he's like, "Seriously, that's a really big firearm. You oughta go with something smaller. A 22 or no bigger than a 9 millimeter." And so I
Mm-hmm.
picked my gun up because I already had a clip in the gun, and I fired off. I popped off 5 really quick rounds and obliterated the center of the target. And then I looked at him and I said, 101st Airborne. I was a combat nurse.
Hmm.
And he just turned around and walked away.
Yeah, you don't need to say a thing if you can show them what you can do.
And the owner of the shooting range was back in the corner, and so I looked back over at him afterwards, and he just had the biggest smile on his face. And he and my dad are real good friends. My
Hmm.
dad was a sniper in Vietnam, so my dad's a regular person there too. And
Okay.
he just had the biggest grin on his face. He came over after a while after I'd finished and I was getting everything put away, and he was like, "That was awesome."
Ah.
He said, "A lot of these guys need more of that."
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. It's like just because a woman has a piece doesn't mean she doesn't know how to use it, and she
Yeah.
does know how to use. It's like come on, guys, quit the bravado.
No, no, but
Get the
I'm
bravado.
very comfortable with my 45 911. It's kind of a
Yeah.
bigger gun, but you know what? It fits my
Hmm.
hand all right.
Well,
It's
yeah,
a good fit in my hand.
I got my uncles, so I like taking out
Yeah.
and plinking it now and then. My favorite, I got a star though. I got a star, which is looks like the Colt Commander,
Oh yeah.
but it's chambered for 9 millimeter, and
Oh.
I like taking that out and plinking away with that one. I like the 45 caliber. That's kind of my favorite
Hmm.
myself. But this one just shoots so nicely. And then a couple years back, took the old man and myself. We went to the range that he's part of, and I let my daughter shoot off the old C96 broom handle Mauser. It's like, there you
Mm.
go. You can shoot one like Han Solo now.
Yeah,
Didn't do bad. Didn't
that's
do
good.
bad. Hmm.
I shot my first gun when I was 7 years old. Because you got to remember, my dad was in the military. He was a
Hmm.
sniper in Vietnam, and he wanted his daughter to know how to protect herself.
Exactly. I'm
Even
trying to
before
remember.
I ever decided to go out even before I decided to go into the army, I was already a pretty good shot because I'd been
Hmm.
shooting pretty much my whole life. As soon as I was strong enough to hold up a gun and not get knocked down when I pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how old I was when I first started, but I had to have been around the same age as you when
Yeah.
my father had me going out and blinking away, of course, at 22 and muzzle loading. My father was into muzzle loading back in those days, mountain
Uh,
man, and so I did my fair share of doing the muzzle loading. And of course, it's like okay, bang, reload, bang, reload.
my dad had bought one of those, a muzzle loader, and he shot it once, and it hurt his shoulder so bad he's never pulled it out of the safe again.
They can be pretty brutal on your shoulder, that's for sure. Hey, Punkwaddle, welcome to
Hey,
the
Bunko,
show.
welcome.
Everybody's favorite punk penguin.
Damn straight.
If he doesn't come around, it's like a blessing when Punkwaddle comes around. It's like we got to seal penguin approval. But yeah, that's a one thing though I loved when the curtain came down though was all the Russian stuff that got available for cheap. And I mean
Yeah,
cheap.
very
Or
cheap.
not just Russian, but just everything that was com block. And
Yeah.
one of my favorites out of that, I got an East German Makarov service. There's actual service used,
Hmm.
and so it's like I have that. I look at that sometimes, going, "What stories do you have? Where were you?
Really.
You know,
Yeah.
were you in Berlin? Were you along the wall? Were you just somewhere
Yeah.
or were you just some guy who sat at a desk doing the paperwork?
Yeah.
You never know."
Well, my dad's got an AK-47.
Hmm.
He got an AK-47 for really cheap. He couldn't turn it down. And every time I look at that gun, I always think of Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood. You remember
Oh
that
yeah,
movie?
yeah. Hmm.
That actually ought to be one that we watch.
There we
I
go.
love
There's
that
a
movie.
Heartbreak Ridge.
Where,
Yes,
where he,
that was
yeah,
Mario Van Peebles. It's the first time I ever saw Mario
yes,
Van Peebles in a role.
yeah, yeah. And I love that one scene where he shoots the AK-47 at them and he says, "This is the AK-47, the preferred weapon of your enemy. It makes a distinct sound when fired at you." And then later on, whenever he's doing it and the other commander is out there, and they're like, "What the hell was that?" And the guys are saying, "That's an AK-47 assault rifle, the preferred weapon of our enemy. It makes a distinct sound when fired at you." He played a good gunny. What a great gunny.
Yeah, he did a good job on that film. Oh, you can't expect anything less from Clint, though.
And the voice just went with the part.
Mm-hmm. It did. I mean, as much as I missed Arlie Ermy, rest his soul and all that, Clint Eastwood did a damn good job. I don't
Yeah.
know if Arlie Ermy could have done better on that one or not.
No, no. That was a good movie. I'm putting that one on the list.
See,
Pretty soon
I
we're gonna
never.
have more movies than nights.
Well, that means you just have little movie marathons.
That's
What
right.
was it? What was it they called that? But numathons.
Yeah.
So, like they used to have down in the Alamo brew houses down there in the day.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ah.
yeah, I was like, yeah, I won't suggest seeing more films. You got to
Yeah,
have
no,
some
no.
time other than watching movies.
Well,
I
I
mean,
had announced at Friday Night Frolics, which was my last Friday that I was working the night shift with the crew, was on a Friday
mhm,
night. And so I had put in on a super chat to them saying that, letting everybody know, because everybody, I go in the Friday Night Frolics, the first thing they always do is want to say hail to the trauma crew. So I needed to know that I wasn't going to be part of the trauma crew anymore.
mhm.
And Doomcock had made the part of the super chat was, my leg hurts too much. I just can't do these long hours anymore on my feet. And
Mhm.
he had made the comment from the super chat saying, well, I don't think you're getting married soon. You're not going to be on your feet too much. And of course, Harvey had to come on and give the full explanation saying, yeah, that means you're going to get laid a lot. Yeah.
Harvey always in the gutter. Well, what you
That
need
was
now
pretty
is
funny.
Olga's going to have to play Doomcock in there for them.
Yeah, well, they've got all of them have their own account. They don't have memberships to Doomcock,
Hmm.
but I'm sure Kathy will probably go ahead and get one.
There we go.
So she got a big
Definitely.
raise. So becoming the manager gave her a very large raise. So
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things. Walk by, hint, hint, membership, hint, hint,
yeah,
membership. Sign up. Yep.
yeah.
Be a member.
But Kathy
But
and of course he had asked if he was going to get to hang out with the because we had made him the honorary member of the trauma team because he was with us when we were doing traumas and stuff.
hmm
We would we'll always announce this is the trauma we're going to do. We got a trauma.
hmm
This is the trauma coming up, whatever it was. And so he was there with us. And sometimes if we had time, Kathy would type in while we were working because my hands were bloody. I couldn't type.
hmm
I was assisting. And would
There
type
we go.
in for a request of some kind.
You know,
And
people can still hear you, or it retains into the subconscious even when they're out on the table. You know that. And
yeah,
I can just imagine now that there's some lady who would be coming out of a hospital room, all concerned, to one of the nurses. They're going, "No, my husband's lying there asleep, but he's singing in his sleep, and he's singing something about what do you
why
do
is he
with Karen? Well, something about a Karen
or
song."
something about poop in the bag? See, that's a favorite among nurses because it's nice to hear that somebody else has poop on their feet.
Yep. Hmm. What was it? I remember. I like to listen to Radio North Sea International online because I just hate terrestrial radio. It's just so horrible now.
Yeah.
And I remember listening. It's like one of my new favorite songs for a while was something called "Shit on My Shoes." I got shit on my shoes. I got shit on. And you saying that just reminding me of that song right there. It's amazing how those things work. How
Well,
they.
that's a regular night for a nurse.
Yep. There we go. Well, waking up to the golden shower song.
Golden
There we go.
showers.
Golden showers.
When I was still in the hospital after I'd been hit by the car, one of my nurses walked in one night, well, on Friday Night Frolics, and he started singing "Poop in the Bag." Well, and she just loved it. She was like, okay, I'm in pain. Give me the damn pain medicine. Stop laughing. Yeah, it's funny. Give me the freaking pain medicine.
But laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah, right. Whenever you got a leg as screwed up as mine was, anytime you moved,
Yep. It's
That plus the broken ribs.
oh yeah. It's like yeah, it's kind of hard to laugh when it's like you want. It's like
Yeah.
quit making me laugh. It hurts.
I almost cleared the grill of that car.
Oh
Most of
wow.
me landed on the hood, but the car caught my lower leg.
Mm. But
But
they
the
did
hood
that
still
Dilaudid.
ruptured my spleen. The
Yeah.
Dilaudid. That was some good stuff,
Yeah.
man.
The Dillaudid. You got the Dillaudid.
Dildo did. Yeah.
Dildo did.
As he says it.
Oh, the long suffering just loved that
If
when
I
because
asked for, if I were, when I was a patient, if I had asked for dildo did, they would have looked at me like I was nuts and didn't need any more drugs.
all I know
We
is when
probably got
that
over the
happened.
edge.
I mean, even though it was so bad, what happened to you though, of course, him doing that Dilaudid thing there, uh, being
Yeah,
that the
we got
long
some good
suffering,
laughs.
she's a pharmacy tech. She was just rolling in the aisles listening to him, and she's trying to
Yeah,
correct him. It's like he can't hear you. He can't hear you.
yeah. Well, there were a lot of people in the chat trying to correct him, and every single pronunciation they put out was right. I
Yep,
think he just likes saying it that way.
I think so. He's just trying. I'm gonna tweak. I'm gonna tweak. Let's have a little fun and tweak.
uh,
Well, it's starting to get a little late. As enjoyable as always
yeah.
talking with you. We didn't even get any ghost stories this time or spooky stories.
No, no, damn.
But we'll have to have a special spooky episode. We'll have to have a spooky
Yeah,
episode, ghost stories with Wendy Webb. So
that's
now that
right.
you're not in there, yeah, there we go. Because no, now you
Yeah.
don't have stories to tell in there. And
Oh, I got
here's trouble.
years worth of stories. Hey, Zax,
Mr. Trouble
missed
himself.
ya, missed ya.
He's
We had a couple of
don't worry,
stories
Zach.
you've already heard, though.
Mm-hmm. She was just telling me about her big promotion, moving up in the world. She's a moving on up to the east side, moving on up. I won't go any further. Even though I'm not monetized, I still don't want to risk a zigging.
Well, I'm sure I'm not helping with stories. So
Oh, that part, that's okay. I mean, there's no copyright to the stories. There's copyrights to that, though. Go ahead. Go ahead, YouTube. Ghost me. Go ahead. I dare you. It means I made it. It means I'm a somebody.
I often wonder if anybody from YouTube actually goes back and watches the streams I've been on, if they're like, "Yikes." That's one crazy nurse.
Oh yeah.
But you
Well, we
know
all
what?
knew that.
Yeah. Well, I have always said that I have to be partially insane because when I get older, nobody will know the difference.
Right. It helps. Well, before we move, because we're coming about to 11 o'clock, I'll just end one thing here. It's like I've never taken an illegal drug in my life. Uh, uh, I've taken plenty of legal drugs, but I've never done illegal drugs on that one. But I've always been accused of it, and so I kind of take that as kind of a source of pride that I've never done illegal drugs. Because if you go out there and are uninhibited enough to act crazy like that without imbibing, you might say, you got to be doing something pretty damn good.
I've never taken an illegal drug either.
Yeah, and it's like if you can be crazy and not take a illegal substance, you're doing pretty good. So might as well
That's
it goes
right.
into that crazy thing. Oh,
Yeah.
Mr. Tim's talk is here. Hi, Tim. How you doing?
Hi, Tim.
So, are you going to be on with Raymond anytime soon?
Starting I guess a couple of Saturdays from now, I'll probably be on all of his Just Cause
Oh,
on
cool.
Saturday because I'm not going to be working Saturday nights anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll be hanging out with him on Just Cause with John and whoever else is on.
Yeah, if
Cobalt
he
and
invites
Pudgy.
me back.
Yeah. Oh,
If you,
I hope you come back on Saturdays. I'd like
I
to
would
hang with you
love.
on there.
Yeah, I'd love to go on there and harass old Ray there. The last time we were on, he was kind of lost. He didn't have Sandra with him, so he's like, where's my producer?
Well, whenever I was on the last Just Cause I was on, and John was on there too, We
Mhm.
had started the show, we thought, and about 30 minutes into it, we realized that we weren't live. There was no, as you and I can see up in the corner, it says live and it has a count,
Yep.
it has a timer. There
Hmm.
was no little red box that said live with
Hmm.
a timer on it. 30 minutes in, it was like, oh man, now we got to do it all over again. It's not as funny the next time.
Oh, exactly. Don't you hate that? It's like, well, do
It
you
made
remember
it
you said
easier.
that?
But it was because Sandra wasn't there to tell him, dummy, you're not live.
Exactly.
But I
I mean,
told him, I
right.
said, you know what? If I were in his shoes, I would have made the same mistake. So I can't.
Mhm.
I
Exactly.
I, I really can't laugh. I'd have done the same thing because that's just how I am.
Raymond, I love you, man. I really
Oh, I
do.
love
But
you.
you need
Love you, King
Sandra.
Dolphin. Yeah,
Yeah.
he needs it. He found that out because he had a ferret. We brought down one of his ferrets during the show and it had an accident on him. Yeah.
That's what I just kind of saw in there. Had a little piddle situation.
Yeah. The ferret peed on him. That was funny.
Oh, poor Ray.
And he was like,
Poor
I need my
Ray.
producer.
Did you get a chance to see her at all when she went down to Texas? I know it was not the same area, but
No, Denton is probably about a 10-hour drive from here.
oh, okay, okay, yeah, I
She's
know
up
Texas
in
is
North
pretty.
Texas, and I'm down in the very far South Texas.
Oh, okay,
So that's about a 10-hour drive. So no.
I'm trying to think that no, you,
You could take
Sandra,
one whole day drive from North Texas to
mhm,
South Texas is a long, full 12-hour day of driving.
it is
Texas is
huge.
big. It's a
It
big
is.
state. And it's just as wide. If you go
Hmm.
from one long tip to long tip in Texas from west to east, it's still a
Hmm.
12-hour drive.
Yeah, it's yeah. Don't expect unless you do some Ironman driving. Don't expect to get out of it in one day.
No, usually from where we are, where I live down in Rio Grande Valley,
Hmm.
you stop in Dallas.
Okay, there we go. I'm just picturing though that if you, Sandra, and Rennie were together at one time in the same place, it's like heaven help us all.
I would love that.
Oh, it'd be wild. I want to see. I would want to see footage of that. That's for sure.
I would love that.
That'd be crazy. You girls gotta plan that sometime. Them to
Yeah.
come down and all get together in one spot and just go
Well,
nuts.
whenever I was at last Just Cause I was on, Sandra was with Rennie that day, and they came on at the very end of Just Cause, and they were just giggling and having such a good time.
Hmm.
I don't
Well,
remember who it was that said they were going to go to the Chippendales.
I think that was John. I think John did
Was it
that. I
John?
don't.
Did you say that, John?
I think it was John. I think it was John because I
Or
know
the
I was on
Dennis?
because I know I was on with John, Budgie, and Raymond on one of those shows there, and of course they popped in too. And I think John was saying on that show about making sure they go to the Chippendales or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, whenever it was brought up, I mean, Randy started looking around online right away. Oh, look, there's this one and this one and this one.
Yeah, you don't need to you do need to agree. Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh huh. Have to go back and watch the replays.
I think on the one I was on, it may have been Legatus Legionai that did that on that
Okay.
one that I was on.
Okay.
But John was
He
more
would.
than happy to play along with the rest of us. So.
Mm-hmm. When I was on, I think was still a little flustered because he got lost to time. Because I go into the back room there and he's going, well, Baron, you're really early. I said, well, I'm known for being early. But he thought the show was going to be on an hour later, so he thought it was like about an hour and a half early. And he's going, yeah, I'm going to go fry up some burgers and all that. I said, okay, I'm just going to go out and get a drink. And I come back, and I can't remember who else. Someone popped in there, and I put the headphones on. I'm hearing, Baron, get back over here. The show's going on now. It's going on now. I got the time wrong. Baron, get back over here.
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
John
Oh,
popped in there that
Ray.
night.
Raymond and Sandra. They're such awesome. They're such
They're
awesome
wonderful.
folks.
They're on the list of people I want to meet. You know, it's like, no,
Me
obviously
too. They're on
I want to
my
meet my
Jimmy and I want to meet them.
yeah. So I
But I
mean,
want to meet you and your wife too. I'm waiting for you
oh,
guys to become Winter Texans.
there we
We'll take
go.
you
Well,
down to the fishing house.
woo, sounds like fun. And I promise I won't bring the dynamite. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have the list of people I want to meet. Obviously, you, I want to meet, of course, Rennie. I want to meet, of course, Ray and Sandra. Of course, my brother, 24. I mean, those guys
Yeah.
too. So,
I'd like to
we,
meet Fet for Hire. I'd like to have a beer with
yeah.
Fet for Hire too. Yeah.
Oh, I have a feeling if Fit and For Hire and I get together, there'd be a lot of trouble going.
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably. I gotta buy that
and
guy a beer sometime.
mhm. And I'm waiting for Zach to tell me that he's going to be heading down to the Twin Cities for vacation because I think he and I have plans to meet up when he does that. So I know he get out of the frozen Great White North to the southern Great White North of Minnesota.
Yeah. And whenever you want to be warm, come down to the Rio Grande Valley in southern deep South Texas.
Also known as burnt
See, we
scrotum,
have
also known as hell.
right. We actually have, if you love watching for bird watchers, this is the perfect spot for bird watchers year round because the birds migrate back and forth over us year round.
Okay.
So I mean,
Oh, that must be amazing.
I had seen a whole bunch of red cardinals out in my trees and stuff here in the last few
Hmm.
days. They're actually starting to move north now because it's getting too hot.
Yeah,
But
actually, I saw a couple cardinals the other day flying around out
yeah,
in my yard. It's like, oh, you guys are back. Good, nice to
yeah.
meet you all. I know. And before we go here, because I know we're after 11 o'clock, I gotta go. I know bedtime. You know, but I remember when I went down to visit my grandmother, and the set. She took me to see the set where all these years later, a good old Alec had his little incident. But
Oh,
she took me down. I think they were at the time filming one of the Gambler movies with Kenny
oh, where
Rogers
was
at the
that?
time.
Where was that? In New Mexico or
Yeah,
Arizona?
New Mexico, just south.
New
Yeah, New
Mexico.
Mexico, south of Santa Fe, as you're going
Okay,
down into Albuquerque.
I've been to
And
Santa Fe.
yep, and so my grandmother took me out and showed me around there. I was in high school at the time, and she packed a lunch. Said, okay, let's pack a lunch, and we come up to this house, and it's an adobe style, and they have this high wall in the backyard. And she's going around, and she starts opening up the back gate. And I'm sitting there going, um, um, wait a moment, this is a person's private house. We can't. She's trust me on this. And it's like, well, yeah, I know my grandmother. She's in with just about anybody when she was down there. We go back in there and we start eating our meal, and this entire backyard is just filled with hummingbirds. There had been like 50 hummingbirds flitting around in this area, and of course all the hummingbird feeders, obviously, which was keeping around there. It's like what an amazing experience. And of course, I'm sitting back going, I wonder how much they poop. And I hope they don't look at me as a target too. Please don't poop on my sandwich. I like my sandwich. But
I keep hummingbirds. We have hummingbirds over here, and these guys, there's so many of them that I have to do my hummingbird feeders like every couple of days. I have to refill them,
mhm.
and they're not afraid of me. I'm trying to carry the feeders back out to hang them up, and they're already trying to get onto the feeder. They're not afraid
Mhm.
of me. I mean, they're swarming me. I'd never had that before, but in the last couple of years, they've started swarming whenever I bring the
Yep.
feeders out. That's just,
Yep.
it's cool. I don't really worry about them pooping on me. I've had worse poop than that.
Oh
But,
yeah. So hi.
but yeah, I love hummingbirds.
Yeah, they're wonderful. I gotta start thinking about trying to do that in my backyard and see if I can start getting them in my backyard. I love watching
Yeah.
those guys. It's just like
I have a lemon tree that's blooming right now.
okay.
I thought it was completely dead after the hard freeze in
Hmm.
2021,
Yeah.
but it's actually, and I had nothing. It had produced a lot of Meyer lemons before the freeze, and it did nothing. But now it is completely loaded with flowers, with lemon flowers, and these hummingbirds are all over it, and so are the bees. They're just
Yep.
working away, man.
Oh,
And I'm looking forward to this fall whenever those lemons become mature.
nice fresh lemons off the tree,
That's
and
the
a
only
but
way.
and a bunch of chubby little hummingbirds they helped along.
Yep.
Well, Wendy, as always, it is great to have you back. I hope you join us for open mic now that
Oh yeah.
you have more time on. So that I have that planned last Wednesday of the month. I think I'm going to be doing that and have a nice free for all for everybody to be on there. So
Awesome.
please come
Looking
along. I
forward
want
to
you.
it.
Yeah, definitely. And do you have any other anything else, other announcements or places you might be besides Poor King Dolphin?
No, pretty much that's it. I mean, with the wedding coming up Saturday, that's kind of where all my focus has gone now. I mean, I finished my last day of work till April 18th.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
the next few
enjoy.
days is all wedding.
There we go. Yeah, and that's frustrating. Can be a tedious time leading up to this. Like
The wedding planner has been, she talks a lot and she's been talking to us a lot for the last 3 months. She's a great lady. I'm glad we chose her. She's on the ball, but boy, howdy, we're ready to get this over with.
does she
We're
does she
ready.
charge? Does she charge by the hour? Because that's probably why she's constantly talking with you.
Yeah, you know what? It's probably why she's so expensive.
There
But
we
you know
go.
what? Jimmy and I figured out several months ago that we were in the wrong field.
Yeah,
We should have been wedding planners because she makes a lot of money. But
yeah.
she is, I've had other people that she's done their weddings, and those weddings were beautiful. And this is the
Mm.
first time she's doing a wedding where the ceremony and the rehearsal dinner are actually in the basement of the hospital and conference rooms. But that was the
Oh,
only way
okay.
that we're doing it in the hospital because the entire hospital pretty much is invited. But
Hmm.
it's not fair that people have to work.
Right.
And so by having it in the basement in one of the conference rooms, we're able to have people that are working be able to come and at least say hi. You know, if you're
Hmm.
wearing scrubs, they won't give you an alcoholic beverage. So
Right.
that's going to make
Yeah.
people dress up and look nice if they're not working. But all the department directors are going to be there, and they already know who's working and who isn't, and they're going to be watching who tries to walk up to the bar. But
Well, they're going to also watch and see who walks into work with a suit, going, "Oh,
yeah,
no,
exactly.
yeah, oh, where
But
did this come from? I don't know. I'll just put
right.
it in my locker here. When's lunch?"
But no, we're doing it at the hospital because we know everybody in that hospital, and
There we go.
we both consider the entire hospital, all the staff. We know everybody. It's a huge hospital, but we still know so many people. We couldn't
Mhm.
exclude anybody.
There we go.
And the
That,
easiest way to do it was even if you have to work, you can still come in and say hi.
no, come by, say hi,
So
grab a sandwich.
that's
Have some
the first
fish.
time she's been doing this in the hospital for medical staff. So she thinks it's cool too.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something definitely put on. I'm sure you can have a lot of pictures to show people. See, I do hospitals too. We do bar mitzvahs, we do hospitals. We do,
John Wendell says if I planned a wedding, they would become illegal.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably have the same problem. Of course, I wanted Jimmy to wear the Princess Leia bikini outfit for the wedding, which she didn't exactly like that idea.
I was going to say, I think there might have been a hard no on that one.
Well, that and something being thrown past my head.
Yeah,
So,
there we go.
which made me reach out for my lightsaber, which never came into my hand. So,
You didn't have the force. Well,
no
Wendy, again, it's
force.
a joy to have you on. Please come
Alrighty.
on by for open mic night. I would love to have you on there with that one. And I'm
Absolutely.
sure,
Just
I'm
drop me
sure
a
you'll
DM.
see.
Let me know.
Oh yeah, you got it. And of course, know that there'll be probably John will be there. John loves going for that one, and probably get
Oh
the old
yeah.
man in there. So you can see if you can hold your own against them all.
Drinking game. Drinking game.
There we go. Drinking game. Drinking game. Oh, next on the next open mic night. Let's see how many two drink minimums happen. Take your bet. See who stands at the end.
I was in the army.
There we go. So was he. Well,
You guys have a good night.
you too. And of course, for myself, I'm going to have tomorrow. I'll be on the Corporeal Life Forms broadcast talking about the Forbidden Planet. And on Saturday, you'll probably catch me on Pulp Culture Saturday morning show. Gary seems to like me, so I'll probably end up be on there. And that night, I'll be on Pacific for 1-4. They're going to be talking about wrestling that night. I believe that's going to be 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. So if you want to go over the Pacific 414, catch on that one. And how can I can't leave these guys out. They're keeping me employed. Primetime Kings with the mighty 24/7 Fusion Media, the mysterious Vigilante Williamson, and the super fat Steven Seagal, and of course yours truly, every Sunday, 5:15 Central Standard Time. Come on by. You never know what we'll be talking about. So again, thank you, Wendy, and for Wendy and I wish you all a great night. Thank you for being here, everybody. Let me see. Let's take a look here. Oh, there's 8 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday. My correction. Thank you, Pacific. Keeping me honest. Which means it'll be 7 Central Time here. So, yes, catch that on there. So, Pacific, good to see you. John Rendell, Punk Waddle, Zax. I did say John, Old Man. Let's see. Who else do we have in here? Of course, my long-suffering Mrs. Tag, making sure Glenn himself was in there, and hopefully you'll send me an email, Glenn. I definitely want to have you on board for a show. I did see Captain Trek earlier. Tim's talk was in here. Did I miss anybody? These scrolling things someday. People start talking in chat. It's hard to find everybody. If the thought that'll be, forgive me, that'll be. There we go. I'll just say that. Thank you for being here. And for Wendy and I, well, thank you for joining. And of course, peace.
Take care and stay safe.
Definitely.